Hello, how you guys doing? Today I would like for us to discuss writing proposals that win projects. Okay, so actually, when I started out properly as a freelancer, in software engineering, I did not really write proposals. I was not everything happened like maybe on WhatsApp or via email. So what do I mean by this? How do I explain this? If a client reaches out to me for a project, right, I'll ask him, what does he want from the project, how is it going to, like, what are his expectations? And then I'll be able to type it out in my own understanding for him or she to confirm that that is exactly what he or she wants, right? Then I'm also going to obviously provide a cost and how long it's going to take, and that is it. There is no any other thing I'm going to do. Um, I worked that way. Is this was either through email or WhatsApp till one day somebody reached out to me for a job interview. It was not a very good experience because I was already living in Abeokuta and all, but I was still struggling as a freelancer. I've not fully made up my mind. So he wanted me to work for him, and the pay was okay to even convince me to try and do that. But he wanted me to do some practice, like he gave me something to build. And if I was able to build it, then I'll obviously come and work for him. I'll meet him in Lagos. So I actually built the the tool he wanted me to build. It was three websites that had three different functionalities. It was not easy to do at that time, but I was already I kind of was um feeling like this freelancing thing is kind of stressful because you don't know when your next money is going to come in. So I was like, this 9 to 5 is looking good in my eyes. So I think that was the last experience though, for because I won't really call that a job interview. He wanted me to be he too is a freelancer but way ahead of me in the game. So he wanted me to be on the standby. So he's going to be passing me projects to do, and I'm going to be on the salary, right? So that was his goal. But as you know though, I won't really call that a job interview for a full job because that is what he wanted. That is the frame he wanted it to be on. And uh, after I finish doing, I'll come to the proposals, but I want to give you context on the whole thing because obviously this entire series is purely going to be from my experience. If not, it's not going to be worth it. So after I gave him my I submitted the work I did. He got back to me and told me, I don't know why this always happens to me. He told me that I am the only one that got all of them well, and I did it very, very right, and he invited me to come to Lagos. Obviously, I'm going to use my own money, use my own transport, and he's not paying for it or nothing, nothing. He gave me a date to come to Lagos, and funny enough, that day was not convenient for me, but I was like, let me just do it. I don't know what is going to come out of this, and I went to see him in Lagos. And when I got to Lagos to see him I think it's VI, yeah, man, he kept me waiting for like 3 hours. It was so I don't know how to I don't know how to call it. It was so I don't know if undermining is the right word. English is not really my strong suit, but it was so weird. Like he kept me there waiting for hours, and he was actually in the office though, but I was waiting. Then when he was ready to see me, and I stepped in into the this thing. I don't know how to explain this, but this was embarrassing because when he was speaking, he was eating watermelon. He had a big bowl of watermelon and pawpaw, and he was just eating it and asking me questions, and he's chewing, and man, I regretted coming. I even regretted doing those projects and everything. But something came out of me going there, which is why sometimes you don't know what God is trying to uh, make you aware of. So when after the whole meeting, he said he likes my work, blah blah blah, and we did not work together because I felt like the disrespect was even too much. I don't think I can trust this person to leave. I don't think that is fair. If you scheduled a time for the meeting and I left as early as possible with the whole Lagos traffic to reach that time, because he had the time set for that meeting. It's not just the date, there was a time set. And I got there and you're telling me to wait, that you are doing something else and you are in a meeting or where you're doing something else and I have to wait for 3 hours. I don't think that is somebody I would like to lead me to the promised land, because that person obviously doesn't even value my time. So that 3 hours alone had already taken me my spirit off the entire 10. Then getting there and him now eating watermelon while talking to me, or eating watermelon and pawpaw while while discussing with me, it just felt like this guy doesn't really care about this thing. He's just wasting my entire time. And he did waste my time, but I got something from it eventually. Because after we finished discussing, he told me he's going to put me on, what do they call this? Probation. He told me he's going to put me on probation. So the money he told me he's going to pay, let me be even frank with you. He told me he's going to pay me 300,000 per month. And obviously, when I started this freelancing thing, this was around April 2019. The first client was 120, and it was growing from there gradually. But the 300,000 felt fair in my, I felt like it was, I can start with that. And even though it is remote, which is good, I can also be doing the freelancing, but not like depending entirely on the freelancing. That was my plan. So on getting there, he never said anything about probation before I got to Lagos. But when I got to Lagos, he's now like he's going to put me on probation for 6 months and he's going to pay me 150,000. My spirit just went like, what I don't know. I felt so down. Like all these things I did, I could have been working on clients project. I've built three. When I mean three website, I don't mean three design website. It had user dashboards, each and every one of them. One was for video recording. The other one was for payment system. And the other one, they were really big something. They were not small something. The other one, I've forgotten what the other one is. Forgotten what the other one is, but it is also a big something too. Then I got all of them right. I came to Lagos from Abeokuta to meet that exact time. I, enter bike because I had to, from there was so many traffic. I had to find way to enter bike. Got there on time, thankfully. He kept me waiting for 3 hours, and we are eating watermelon and pawpaw while you are speaking to me. You know. So obviously, as you can see at that point, I was kind of checked out. And then you're now telling me about the probation. So I said, let me think about it, because obviously I was still, do I do this? Do I not do this? Do I do this? But it's part of me was gone. So I was like 30% in it, 70% out of it. So he gave me a document, and that document was the proposal for another company that reached out to him for to do the work, because like I told you, he too is a software engineer. He's a freelancer. He's looking, I think he has gotten to the point where he wanted to employ somebody else under him, right? So when he gave me that document, and and I looked at the document and I took it home and I was like, because I had to go back to Abiokota and I went through the document. That was when I discovered that, oh, okay, this is how to write a project proposal. This is how to set up your own project proposals. Now, what I have been doing all these whiles is rubbish because he wrote that project proposal, that document, and sent it to the company. And he gave it to me to go through it and see if it is something I can work on and how long it is going to take for me to work on it. That is why he shared that proposal to me. Now, looking at that proposal made me, obviously when I got home I was already furious, but by the time I got home after like 2 days or 3 days I told him that I'm not going to work on it, and I said I'm backing out of this. I'm not going to do it. So I just doubled down on my freelancing because he did not if personally for me, oh, I don't know about any other person, for me I did not have a good experience, right from the too many tests to ignoring even the test. I was even hoping when I get to Lagos, we could talk about the things that I did on the project, on the test he gave me, the three platforms. We did not even say anything about it. So and what we did there, we could have done it on online meeting or even on a phone call. There was no need dragging me all the way from Abeokuta to Lagos because of. But it turned out good because that project proposal, I've been using that project proposal format from that time till today and beyond. I'll still be using it because it's a very beautiful way to structure a project proposal. So when you get a project from a client, after you've gotten all the information, I'm not going to put this down anywhere. So just write it down if you want to. The first thing you need to do is put in your company, the name of the project. That will be the first thing on the document. The name of the project that you are working on. Let's say Nicholas Web project or something. Then you put in the address of the client as well as the proposed domain name, the domain name they want to use, or the app name they want to use, whatever it is. Then you put in your company name and you put in your address, right? That should be the first page of the project. Now, the second page would now have project scope. No, no, not project scope, project overview. Project overview is going to be like a paragraph or two describing or giving an overview of what the project is all about, right? Then after project overview, you have project scope. Project scope is like a list, list na bulleted list of items that needs to be done on the project. You can make it as long as you possibly can, right? After project scope, you now have your objective and your deliverables. Objective is what you are going to achieve working on this project. What is the objective of you working on this project? And deliverables is once this project is done, what are you going to provide to the client? Like, okay, this is what I am delivering at the end of this project, right? Now, after deliverables, you are going to have project schedule. Project schedule is if like me, for instance, some projects I give updates. Most projects I give updates once a week. There are few projects I do once a month, depending on how big they are, but most of them is once a week. So under project schedule, you are going to write for every week what are you going to deliver to the client, for every week what are you going to deliver to the client and showcase to the client, right? That is what is going to be under project schedule. Every week, what would I give to the client, maybe via email, show a video, or schedule a meeting so that you guys can discuss on it and they can see it live. That would be under the project schedule. Now after project schedule, we have technologies used. That is where you now explain the technologies you are using or you are going to use to work on the project. PHP, Node.js, Python, all those things. Explain it, the server you would use, the front end languages, everything. Just write them down under technologies. Then payment structure. That's where you say this is the cost or the craftsmanship fee or the development sorry, excuse me, or the development fee of the project, right? That is what is going to be on the payment structure. And how are they going to pay you? Me, for example, they pay me per week. So if, for example, I'm taking on a project of 3 million naira and I'm going to deliver that project in a month, they're going to pay me 750,000 per week before I start. So if I start week one, before I start week one, they pay me 750,000. I work on it for the week one. Once I'm done with the week one and I've done the update and I've shown them what I have done, they pay me another 750,000 and I start week two. So that is how I personally structure my own project. So on that payment structure, that is how it's now going to flow, right? Now, after payment structure, you now put maybe conditions, clauses, things that, like, for example, after any other thing outside this project scope is going to cost money. You are going, the client to take care of miscellaneous charges like domain hosting, SSL, API cost, email, SMS, if it's an app, Google Play Console, and Apple App Developer, right? So you have to always state that part out there. Then the next thing you need to put in is the signatories. Under that signatories, that is where you now have your signature as the developer or the project manager, and then the signature where the I'll put another place for where the client is going to sign as the client, and you put in their name or their company name or the app name, right? You can transition this to whatever field of freelancing you are into, but I'm only going to speak from software engineering because that is actually where my experience is coming from. So this, I never, that's why sometimes every disappointment is a blessing, because had it been I did not go through every single stage of that, even though that stuff did not work out, the whole three platform going to Lagos, because if it was a online call or a Google Meet, or I don't know if Google Meet was even around then, or a phone call, I may not have been able to get that document. But I had to go to Lagos, and that document that he shared with me, it changed the trajectory of how I um, discuss with clients in terms of presenting a project proposal, because the way I was doing it before was in a naive way, and it was not professional. Now when I switched to this way, there was a very big difference, because I could see that the client now felt like I was a very professional. I'm sorry, I was very professional. They respected the project proposal. They were happy. They said it was different from other people that they have worked with, and it gave me a form of leverage. There was a form of leverage from it when I presented the project proposal, right? So this is how you write proposals that win projects. Thank you, and bye bye.